do not pay attention to what Russian politicians say. Usually, it's the vice versa of what's going on in reality, okay? That's one, to start with. Whatever says the press secretary of Putin is the opposite of the reality. It's easier even to understand what really is going on in the country because he's always lying. 100% cases, he is lying. When something is black, he would say this is white. It's even ridiculous because the last time I've heard truth from him, it was like never. So, and that's his function, because Putin does not really want, Putin is lying as well. Putin said that there were no Russian military in Crimea. Putin said that Russia will not take Crimea. It's all about independence of, Crimea will never become a part of Russia. And he was just doing the things that he promised not to do in a row, a month after month. And he got away with everything. He's magic. I don't know who he sold his soul to, but he's doing pretty well, getting away with all the things. Because Europe presents an alternative model where actual authorities do change, and ordinary citizens can change them. They're being manipulated as well, and lied to as well, but in a much less extent. So we need to discredit this system. We need to say, okay, Europeans live like that, but their system is deficient. They support gays, pedophiles, Nazis. They're too soft, they're being invaded by Arabs, their civilization is weak, it will fall. It's awkward, democracy is not efficient, whatever. And so, because this is a competing model and people are comparing, they are going abroad and they're asking, why are we so deep in shit? Whereas even our former Czech brothers live like Europe 20 years later, and 10 years later they have already been living like Europe. So, the entire TV propaganda machine is being used to discredit Europe all the time because of the need to stay in power, So you got all these incredible amount of anti-Western propaganda discrediting the European economic and political model, describing it as collapsing all the time. And because of that, naturally, people's moods and minds are quite anti-Western right now. So in order, and this is a process, this is a chain reaction. You explain that to the people that you're a besieged fortress, surrounded by the enemies, who don't have any moral, who are, mass masons and they fuck sheep and they pedophile and they pray to Satan. And then people start believing that. And in order to get elected, you need to feed them more of that. And so this is a process that is like a snowball, is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. And why Putin? Because if not Putin, then whom? Why this? Because we are besieged by enemies, and look what's going on in Europe. Millions of, let's say, chocolate color barbarians are coming from their barbarian countries, and they, of course, all of them are ISIS operatives, and they will now install an incredible network and of sleeping cells in Europe, and Europe will implode in a couple of years. And we are, with all the shit that's going on in the country, we are an island of stability, moral values, and so this is going on all the time, and this is requiring some serious puppet mastering, of course, because people are being presented a totally false, imaginative, an imagined system of coordinates, in which the World War II never ended, in which Russia is being surrounded by enemies, in which we are a besieged fortress, we need to defend ourselves, and because we're, it's not in reality like that, but it's getting it's a postmodern world, So it's not real, it's not like the World War II, where things were serious. It's like a play, let's say like a game. But sometimes games can become very serious, something very real, because people start believing that. Of course, and I'm observing some journalists who come into the system knowing that they're supposed to manipulate people, but then slowly, after telling lies a month after a month, they start believing these lies.